Hey, Shaka.
All right, how you doing?
I'm well, and yourself?
Oh, I'm good. Let me adjust my camera and everything. So
So we can see some of those powerful revolutionaries behind you.
yeah, our ancestors, our beloved ancestors, of course.
Yep. So tonight we're going to talk about the death penalty, life in prison, and these prison riots.
Okay.
So, what do you think? Before we even go there, I was watching a show before ours, The Rabble, and they were talking about the stand your ground laws. What do you think of that one guy here in Georgia? I'm gonna pull up his name. Um, who got 10 years for standing his ground? Mark Wilson. Did you hear the story? He fatally shot a 17-year-old girl,
No.
although he said it was self-defense. Yeah. So what happened is, from what I'm to understand, I don't know a whole lot about the story. I actually reached out to the family and I need to send them some information on the show. But what happened is they were threatening to like lynch him, hang him, chasing him down. He had the right to carry. He was 23 and he went and some kind of way he shot the 17-year-old girl. He claimed stand your ground. And they sentenced him to 10 years, although they know that it was like a hate crime that infused the him having to stand his ground.
Mm. So he ended up getting 10 years, but did somebody lose their life in the process?
Yes, the 17-year-old girl. But they were like chasing him down, all of those things. Like it was either he was gonna die or he was gonna shoot somebody.
Well,
His name is Mark Wilson, RC Wilson.
well, if his life was threatened, he didn't do nothing but defend himself. So I don't know why he even got the 10 years. I mean, when you look at cases such as George Zimmerman, who actually cold bloodedly murdered a kid, a
Murdered that
baby,
boy.
and he was acquitted of all charges. Nevertheless, it just shows you that, you know, um, these death penalty cases, and as well as just harsh sentences, apply to those who people that look like you and I, primarily and specifically, and those who economically castrated, uh, cannot afford proper legal representation, and um, that are illiterate, lacking vocational and social skills, that are ignorant to the
Chaka, are you
judicial
there? We're
lingo.
buffering.
Oh, is it buffering?
It was both of, at least on my end. You were buffering. I was buffering.
Oh, it wasn't buffering here.
Oh,
But nevertheless, is it okay now?
yes.
Okay. So those who lack vocational and social skills, that are ignorant to the judicial lingo and the how the system works, primary candidates for harsh sentences. It's not that hard to figure out. It's not complicated. There's no brainstorming in this. We know exactly how this goes. And until we have people that are willing to put their lives on the line in terms of understanding the entire system and willing to step and stand up to this system, and not only ask, because this is all we've been doing is asking, begging, pleading with our oppressors for some type of mercy or leniency, when it comes to our people. And once again, being a product of of the system that is not geared towards any type of justice whatsoever. It's no justice, and our people fail to realize this based on the fact that we've been duped. We get tricked, manipulated, and duped every day because for every 5,000 that they put away, they might have one acquittal to make it appear
Yeah.
like there's some level of justice involved, and justice is blind. But that's we all know that's bullshit. And um once again, until we have people such as yourself and others who are not looking for fame and recognition and to be personal notoriety and wear these capes and I did this and I did that, and applaud me and that type of mindset. This is why these things take place. And so once again, every once in a while somebody gets a break. It's just like the lottery, or bingo. You spin the cage, and whatever number comes up, that's the person who walks, and everybody else has to go in, for primarily for prison labor and things of that nature, and the purpose of being broken mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually broken uh, to conform to the injustice and the tyrannistic society that we currently live in. So, um, and death penalty cases primarily. If you look at the statistics, you see it's primarily us on death row, with the exception of others who, such as serial killers, Unabombers, and uh, um, you know, uh, serial pedophiles. The primarily is us on the row awaiting execution, and so
But even with that, in my grad school class or in my master's degree program, we were looking at elderly incarcerated, and it looked like from the footage and the lessons that it was a lot of Caucasian, European, white, paler skinned folks. And what was there for me is these are the same people who normally would have been executed, but because they have been in prison for like 60 years or like they're lifers, but they have like a whole floor for the elderly to discuss their treatment, their conditions, things like that, because they feel after 50 years he should be let out, but they don't look like us. What about these ones sitting in prison innocently after 20 years? They should be let out. After 5 years, as soon as you find out that they're innocent, they should be let out. What about the Lydia Berries of the world that we were discussing before, who's been in prison for 19 years on a child murder when the forensic pathologist wasn't even certified, and I was fussing in my group of Salvation Army the last 2 days, so my voice I'm kind of shot. But what about Lydia Berry's case, where she got life for something called child murder, and the child was only with her for 10 days, and the person
mm,
who was looking at the forensics, he had from Mississippi, he reviewed, I want to say it was 75 to 80% of all of the cases that went through Mississippi. He reviewed them on average, and he got paid for this hundreds of thousands of dollars. He didn't have a license before the medical board, and he wasn't certified, and he was at work for years doing 7 times the average number of cases. So what about situations like that when people getting deaf and they're in prison for 19 years and they still have to go before the appellate board? They got to take it to the Supreme Court. They got to do all of these things to be released when they should just be releasing these people. She had the baby for less than 10 days
Yeah,
and they were
yeah.
charged with a lot of abuse.
In cases such as those, unfortunately,
So I'm just saying, like some of these situations. I'm listening, Shaka.
oh, okay. It was buffering for a minute. I thought it was still buffering. Unfortunately, in those cases, you have people who, um, where the public, they want to satisfy the public with a conviction, regardless who it is. Anyone will do in that manner, not knowing, uh, or not thinking that those individuals that are chosen will be, will have a thorough investigation coming from the outside. This is how, um, the people that have been investigating knew about the coroner and all of these medical examiners and whatnot. See, when they sentence people just to satisfy the public, just to get a conviction, whether you're innocent or guilty, they're not looking at or expecting any type of investigation
Right.
of that level, that depth of an investigation. And so when it does happen, when these people and this whole situation is exposed, to keep the wheels turning, they will allow that person or grant that person clemency or whatever, just so they can continue to keep the ball rolling. Because they
Yep.
know before that individual goes to court, they already know that person is innocent, but no alibi, no economic, no economic structure, no money, living below or just on the poverty level, lack of education, no social skills, maybe a prior arrest or two, if any,
Yep.
qualifies them to be railroaded. That's the qualifications of being railroaded, because they think that the person is indigent, illiterate, and will just go and lay on death row waiting execution so the public can be satisfied. So, um, you have cases such as those that, are far and few in between. But, when we talk about it on an overall level, there are many of those brothers and sisters who are on death row that have not had, proper in-depth investigations to actually get them released, or at least get them back in court, and have their sentences either commuted or either exonerate them. So, this is, once again, it's based on, like I had explained in a few shows back, that when you go to court for anything dealing in a criminal court, they go by education, work history, employment history, bank accounts, assets, family structure, family support, and then they weigh all this out before they even get to the PSI, the pre-sentence investigation, and that determines whether that person is a prime candidate to be placed on a prison farm, and they look at it as an asset to the prison system, opposed to being a liability in society, which is totally unfair, totally inhumane, totally racist, totally discriminatory, and it totally sabotages the moral fiber of the family. And so, um, until we actually fight this system besides yelling and, a little more further than just pushing paperwork. We need genius legal minds, not just people who went through law school and, and go and make deals and, do underhand stuff and give me this one and you take the next 20 and that type of stuff. I mean, people who their mission is to see everyone receive a free shot, that are innocent. And even those that are guilty that are on death row that actually don't deserve to be executed, at least have their sentence commuted to at least a life sentence or a number of years or whatever. Um, because it's so double standard that, if you take somebody's life out here, it's a penalty, but they can legally take yours, according to the judicial system. Now, I'm not saying that some cases, people have done some horrendous stuff and have committed some heinous crimes that in our hearts we would want them to receive the death penalty, you know. And I think in some cases, it may be warranted, specifically when you have these people that go around that sexually violating little babies and then murdering them and riding around with children in the trunk and sex trafficking and, all that child kidnapping and abduction and, the sodomization of our babies. That's not a bad idea, to consider that,
That's
but
considered to do it, to pop that trunk and put them in it.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying, you know, and most of the people that are lawmakers, that are supporters of and investors that look like you and I into the prison industrial complex that make millions and billions of dollars off the blood of our people, see, they haven't had those experiences. They have not had those experiences. And if they had, their mindset will be totally different. Their thought process will be totally different. They will have a high level of compassion for wrongfully convicted people, people who have had children snatched and abducted and and murdered, uh, and the culprits walk based on their connection with certain their parents may have ties in the political system, or they may have ties in the entertainment or athletic world where they're almost like given permission to do whatever they want to do because they're the consequences will be slim, if any.
So, I'm sitting here thinking about that, and it's one thing to talk about the consequences, but it's another thing to talk about the acts. Like, why is it that if you're brown or black, typically speaking, you commit a crime and it's automatically life or 200 years, like 1,000 years? Like, why even give someone a time of 1,000 years? Like they're gonna live to be it, So
Well,
like, I guess in case you live to be 1,000.
no, they have people that serving sentences, 3,000 year sentences. You know, I know a brother who was serving 1,100 years. You
Wow.
know, so and they give out that much time. I don't know what the purpose is. Maybe they know something in the next life that we don't know about, which I seriously doubt it. But nevertheless, it's that's a whole different show when we talk about the root cause of it. You
Yeah.
know, we're just dealing with the effects, and the actions of those, whose agenda and their goals and missions are to, not just annihilate black men of color, black men, period.
Yeah.
And also separate, the damage that it does to the family and the community, because it separates the wife from the husband. Now I'm speaking on the innocent perspective, someone that is innocent. It separates them. It creates havoc. It even makes the wife and the family wonder if they really done it, if they're really guilty, based on the fact of the pressure of the media, what that individual has to go through, and they could be completely innocent. I've
Yeah.
seen families be disintegrated, children devastated, children being teased in school about their father being in prison and things of that nature. It completely devastates the entire family. So um, it's this is a serious, very serious issue that needs to be addressed. Not just addressed, it needs to be dealt with to the fullest. We need people that are not going to half step and play and bullshit and compromise and take underhand deals and stuff to give our brothers and sisters false hope, that just one day we'll all be free type mentality, and knowing that person will never come home, knowing that, and it's important that, people like yourself and others who, and when I say others, that's and I mean that like on one hand, because I don't know a whole bunch of people who, fight tooth and nail, who study day and night, uh, unmotively, unmotively, without any hidden agendas or motives and false recognition, that's really for our people, you know.
Well, I can say this. I had to learn to be for the people, including our people. And what I mean by that is just because they're brown or black don't mean that they're our people. And I had and that may sound jaded, but it's like here in Atlanta, I promise you, we got these elected officials and we keep putting them in office because they look like us, but they don't have our best interests at heart. They won't indict any police officers, black or white, when they know that they out here killing these black and brown boys and women and torturing and everything, and they won't indict them. And it's a black DA. That's in Clayton County. We got Fannie Willis in Fulton County who won't indict Son Kim over the murder of Jimmy Atchison when the public investigation unit said he murdered that boy and she won't indict. But we hear about Young Thug and all those people being indicted over their rap lyrics, and maybe they killed somebody, maybe they didn't, but they're gangs. Not saying to ease off of them, but she don't have her foot on Donald Trump's neck the same way. And this is a black elected official. Her father was a Black Panther. So it's like the Nellie Halls, the Marvin Arringtons, the Rob Pitts, our commissioners, our city councilmen. Like I rocked with Antonio Brown when he was in office. He ran for mayor, didn't win. Now, where's he at? You know what I'm saying? Like doing community cleanups or some other stuff. But it's like the people who really are for the people, they have a difficult time lasting in office. They have a difficult time getting the public policies passed. And today show, it's about the death penalty and murder and things like that. But the reality of it is the people who sit on death row and who are lifers in prison is because somebody, a county commissioner, a city councilman, a mayor, somebody felt that it was okay for them to go to prison for life. And half the time these days, those somebodies look like us. So I have a hard time being for the people who look like me who are oppressors.
Yeah, because and it's the fault of our people, because we go for the hoopla and the trickery every election. We go for them to say we're going to fight this, we're going to do this, and Then once they are in office, the whole agenda change. Well, it doesn't change. They already know the agenda, but their mission is to win the people over and trick them.
Yeah.
Every term is the same thing. We're gonna change this. They do to play the same records, and we listen to the same records. We go to the record shop and buy the same CDs and play them over and over and over again, thinking it's gonna be another tune on that CD, and it's the same song. The songs are not gonna change. You know, this that DA in Atlanta is after, and made it clear she's after rappers. So what? That sounds like something very, very personal,
It
very,
does.
very personal.
It does.
And not conform and see these people that look like us, that do the hoopla and they give out the turkeys and they whop and twerk and they do the Dougie, all in the middle of the streets while they campaigning. People, oh, they down. Oh, she down. Oh, they down. They with us. Oh, we gonna ride this time. And as soon as they park the car in the garage, they close the door and leave. And then we're banging on the door for somebody else. Somebody else look like us. Open the door. There's gonna be changes this time.
Yep.
While we're cheering, they slam the door, and it's over and over and over again. And we keep buying for a hook, line, and sinker from people that look like us. I could live better and function better and fight more harder if it was somebody that didn't look like me that was pushing this agenda,
Yep.
because it would give our people something to fight for. But
Yeah.
long as they look like us, let's increase the food stamps by $10. Give out some Walmart cards. Let them sit on Santa Claus lap. Let's do a Christmas drive. It's the same shit.
Yep.
Every year, round the clock. Okay, it's time to do the Negro thing. It's Black History Month. Let me look in there and brush that kente cloth dress off. Get the dust off of it. And let me go down in the hood for about 20 minutes. And rally the troops. With no changes,
Yep.
no changes, no changes. And this is nationwide. This is just not in Atlanta, but it's more prevalent in Atlanta because you know Atlanta's not Atlanta has been used, brothers and sisters that I personally know down there that grew up down there, that have not moved anywhere up the economic ladder, no economic infrastructure whatsoever, based on the fact that they're not willing to conform. And you see those who conform. You see the Negroes. You see the Negroes that in Fulton County on Peachtree Street that they feel that they are cut above the bluffs and the north side where the homeless
Shaka.
people are. Yes. Can
Was yours buffering?
no.
Mine was buffering.
Yeah, you went off for a second too.
Yeah. So, and I'm drowsy, like I'm not, I hadn't had any wine. My allergies they got me going today. So please excuse me.
Okay. I didn't
I'm
say
like
anything about
barking,
that because I already know.
throat closing up. I'm out of my
Yeah,
singular, but I got
yeah.
my inhaler pump somewhere. Ooh.
And um, it's everywhere. And then you have those who get crumbs. Those are the council people. You
Mm-hmm.
know, those are the cracktivists. I call them cracktivists because they're crackhead activists. Because that's based on their behavior. Because they chase crumbs. Like they in a trap house. So um,
Most of
they
them
get them
might be
to
in trap houses.
Uh,
I said some of them might actually hang out, be in the trap houses,
yeah,
and
you
those.
know, and those are the ones who get out here and defend tooth and nail for those, who when I say the term gatekeepers, it's those who um protect the system, those who protect the system, those who are paid to protect the system and to ensure that all other people remain in deplorable, poverty situations, not just economically, but judicially. You can be povertized in court because you don't know what's going on. You don't know any. You don't know the lingo. You don't know the hand gestures. You don't know the sign language. You don't understand. When they say no prosky and you know and this is the illiteracy and the ignorance of our people when we go into these arenas, because that's all it is in arenas. You have a stenographer who's the sportscaster to keep score, you know. Then you got the jury. Those are the fans. Those are the ones that cheer. Then you got the referee, you know, and that's the judge. He throws down all the flags, all the penalties, you know, and they always have the ball. They always have the ball, and they score just about every time they get the ball. So this is how this whole system is ran. But our people, who know everything about every rapper, about every athlete, about every self-hating TV show or TV series, black on black killing, have and have nots. All of this, they can tell you, they can give you the entire details of every cast member, where they live at, how many points LeBron, who gonna win the Super Bowl, who gonna be the next heavyweight champ. They know all of this. Then they
Yep.
break law, and then they go into the court, and then they depend on a public defender. And if you understand what that means, he's defending the public. He's not defending you. His job is to make you feel comfortable getting railroaded.
Yep. Amen.
And so
Preach.
they'll say, I've been there. They'll come in there, the judge is not in a good mood. He's never in a good mood when he see us.
Mm-hmm.
He's not in a good mood today. So what, I know it was only two candy bars and a couple of gallons of milk. The only thing I can get you is, 18 months to 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
2 years for the milk suspended, all but 18 months, on a labor camp.
Yeah. Shaka, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you froze for a minute. So, to switch topics real quick, how about Ware State Prison? And, we got a couple of folks there, the Kevin Upkins, Menes, Fuller, like I got a couple of people there. And the reality is they just had a whole riot that lasted for an hour and a half before any correctional officer showed up. Whole riot. And one guy got killed, several others got stabbed. How does that happen on their watch when the DOJ's been out? I've been interviewed by the feds about this prison. So how is it that we're here when the DOJ's been out at least 4 or 5 times in the last 2 to 3 months?
Well, being involved in riots myself and hunger strikes and things of that nature, that they're not concerned about that. What they're concerned about is keeping the prison operating and keeping the media out of it. Keeping the media out. That's the only thing they're worrying about, because, for one thing, if it's a riot among the inmates, that means a lot of drug activity. That means a lot of cell phones. That means it's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of gambling. A lot of unpaid debts, a lot of visits, a lot of money that's supposed to be put on books that uh, family members fail to do so. That they leave their family members, in the hole, because you got family members that don't even know that they have, that their son is in there, with a fentanyl habit,
Mm, yeah.
and so he gets in the hole. It starts with it starts with one or two people. I've seen people get their heads. I mean, where you can actually see uh, the top of their brains bust open over a ramen noodle. One 20-cent ramen noodle. One 20-cent ramen noodle out of Wegmans or what you call Big Lots or what, a 20-cent ramen noodle. And so things like that, and then, you know, um, the homosexual population, which is out of every 100 men, maybe five are engaged in that, you know, that creates havoc too. That creates havoc. And so um, one thing leads to another. The tension is built up. You have people that haven't had a visit. They're frustrated. They need somebody to take it out on. They may have been locked down 2 or 3 days, and everybody's in the mood for killing. And the prison will allow that to happen as long as it's not outside the media. And what they'll do, they'll shake down, take everybody's toys and TVs, and take all that stuff away for about 30 days. Everybody will quiet down. Then you get the dorm reps and all this type of stuff to go to the warden, have a sit down. Everything will be back to normal, and the drugs and everything will flow in. And see, this is the thing now. These prisons that they're building these prisons to accommodate brothers and sisters so they can feel comfortable in their captivity. Now, in
Yes.
Maryland, they can have iPads in Maryland. You know,
Wow.
you can have an iPad, you can have a PS5, you can have a flat screen TV because you're not going nowhere. See, Maryland, when they put you away, that you're going.
Well, that's,
Because
I was just gonna
go
say
ahead.
you're also property. You are property. So when they send you there, they license, bond, and insure you. So if you die, your body belongs to the system. Your body doesn't belong to your family. Your family's lucky if they release the body to them for them to bury you properly. But you belong to the system.
That's
Period.
true. That's true because um, they have cemeteries in Maryland on the prison grounds, and it's not just being property. What happens when you meet your demise inside those walls? They actually sell you back to their families.
Wow.
You can come get them for 2,500. Then you can do what you want with them. Otherwise, we're gonna bury him. Or we're gonna take his body. We're gonna call NIH, or we're gonna call the CDC so they can gut him up because he's been lifting weights for the last 15 years. So he got some strong, good lungs, organs, leg muscles, a solid brain. He's got his high school diploma, so he has a thinking brain, and that's what they do. They sell all the body parts and just, throw the skin and bones in the ground and use it as fertilizer. Because if you notice, all prisons have green grass.
Wow. I wasn't even thinking about skin and bones creating the green grass. I was thinking about it being used inside of the cosmetic industry for the makeup that we wear, for the collagen that women put in their lips and men these days, for the butt shots, for all of that. that comes from skin and bones as well.
Right.
And it
Depends
is
on
the
which
sweat of the poor.
what it depends on which prisons and which states the prisons are in their contract with those companies like Revlon and Walston Purina, um, where some of that stuff is being grinded up in dog. Some of the people being grinded up in dog food. This is why you have these pit bulls that have muscles like men. It's a whole. This is why I'm saying the we are so um, priceless. But it's more money when we're gone. And another
Yes.
example, not to get off the subject, but these rappers that are being murdered is a big business. Murdered rappers is a big business because the when a rapper's murdered, even though like the PNB this brother that was recently murdered, now nobody really knew who he was except just people that have close ties in the industry. Now, now that the world knows of that name, people want to hear what his music sounds like, what type of person he was, because they've been hearing how good of a person he was. He was a father and this and that. Now, his record sales is going to go to the roof. The family doesn't get the publishing, the masters, the royalties, or none of that. So it's a huge business. It's a very huge business, and I think certain rappers are targeted. I think the ones that they think that are going to buck on these 360 deals, or they want to come out and do something positive because they're sick to their stomachs and ingesting drugs and talking about killing their neighbors and stuff like that. They've gotten to up in their neck and that shit, and they're targeted.
I agree. The Pop Smokes, Juice World supposed alleged suicide, the King Vons. Yeah, I agree. Because they sure did. Even like you said, PNB Rock. Like I'd never heard of him. Even and this is sad, but we're here in the South. Nipsey Hussle, he was Lauren London's significant other. He wasn't Nipsey Hussle to the South until after Nipsey Hussle got murdered. Then he became Nipsey Hussle. But everybody
Nobody knew who he was. Nobody
he was,
really knew who he
was
was.
no, it was Lauren London's baby daddy, her
Yeah,
significant
yeah.
other, because they
But
remember her from Roll Bounce.
now you see Nipsey murals everywhere.
Yeah, he's an icon. So it's like they plan, they plan to kill us. They target us. They don't care about our lives.
Tupac was a test drive. That was a test drive in terms of record sales. When they saw how his record sales went to the roof, and then they just went down the line. It became Biggie, Michael Jackson, Prince, everybody. And unfortunately, even in Michael Jackson's case, the family was more interested in paper than him, because if he had done like Bill Cosby had done, because Bill Cosby had Ennis Cosby buried on his property, so that can never be seized. If
Mhm.
Michael Jackson was buried on Neverland, Neverland could never have been seized.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, if you have a home, if you're a homeowner, and you or your significant other, your husband or one of your children or yourself perish and you're buried in that backyard, that property belongs to you if it's paid for forever.
So, do you think that the jails and prisons work the same way with these privatized prisons? Let's say
Of
you own
course.
a privatized prison and you have insurance on all of the inmates, and now you bury 10 inmates. They're your property. So does that mean that you own that prison forever?
Yeah, yeah. Because they see this is what they call wards of the state. The warden becomes your parent. The
Wow.
COs are the babysitters. The COs don't do nothing but babysit, whoop ass, maybe hang a couple of people if they go to the extreme. The warden and administration are the parents. And so when you go on that property, this is why they build a cemeteries on these properties, primarily to, sell you back to your family. Now, some people are fortunate enough to have the money to buy their loved one back from the system,
I have
and they make,
I was going to say, I remember being a freshman in college and hearing about one of my high school friends dying. And what happened is he had someone, Melvin, someone went to burglarize his house, Melvin Samuels, and he called the police to report the burglary. And when they got there, they found that he had a warrant out. This is the story I heard. He had a warrant out from college, like a traffic ticket or citation or something. Instead of him just paying it or the city of Savannah arresting him, they transported him back to White County, Georgia, um, costing the taxpayers for that transportation fees. And then they tased him to death. And before telling the mom that he was dead, they charged her. They gave her the amount of all of his tickets and fines for her to pay to have her baby released. And then after she paid it, that's when they released the body. But she didn't even know that he was dead. And that's the America that we live in today.
yeah, and we do nothing about it, but make noise and, hoop
Yep.
and
I
holler
wrote
and
a letter
cry.
to the governor that went unaddressed. Nathan Deal at the time. Nothing happened. But that kind of
You know,
started my work, my path, my let's stand up for something a little more than Chanel earrings and Guess jeans and parties every weekend.
yeah,
You know?
you'll be blessed and well compensated for that in so many ways, other than just monetary, because you know that brother as well as others that you may personally know and that I know, are screaming from the grave for help,
Yeah,
for assistance, for some closure, to not only for them just but to bring healing to the family,
yeah,
and send a message out to the public that this can no longer be tolerated. But unfortunately, we are under the hypnosis of toys.
yeah,
To keep you quiet. What they do now, they kill you. Police kill you. Crump, Sharpton, the usual suspects, Shabazz, all of them come in. There's no justice, no peace. They do that for 20 minutes. They get the people riled up. And the feds will call them and tell them, you got 20 minutes to get them Negroes off the street.
yep,
They get them off the street. They take their rage and frustration out on each other. Then you got two more murders that night because people are enraged about what has taken place. And they have nowhere to vent and to approach and penetrate the walls of evil because it's strength in numbers. So
yep,
they go back home into poverty, take it out on one another. National Action Network, Ben Crump come in. Shopping pays for the funeral. They front the 10 grand, have a nice funeral. Allow the people 30 seconds to a minute at a press conference. This is why you don't see any family members talking for a long period of time. It's always the people that don't know nothing, never even heard of these people, don't know these people from a can of paint, that are the spokespersons. This is why they say the spokespersons. Then they tell them to go home and wait.
yep,
And they do that Monty Hall. Let's make a deal. Let's give them 4 or 5 million, make them sign non-disclosure agreements. You don't do any interviews. You don't go do nothing public. You take this money and quietly hush.
Yep. Close your mouth. Or we gonna
And
close it
then they
for
go to the next black person. Who's next? Trump doesn't even take a case under $1 million.
you. Wow. Wow.
And he went to school with it. He went to school with a Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother.
Wow. Wow. Well, on that note, Shaka, it's 52 minutes, but I'm going to end about 5 minutes early to go get me some tea and some allergy meds.
Okay.
That work for
Do your
you?
thing. Of course.
So we're gonna finish talking about this a little later. We'll talk about it offline as well. Um, but we gotta keep each one, teach one, stand for something or fall for anything, and stand up for the good fight. Like, not just start a good fight, but stand up for the good fight. If you are afraid of rallying or protesting or rioting, um, guess what? Support those who do. Don't sit there and ask us questions, stupid questions like, why y'all always out there talking about black stuff? Because we black people. And this is the
Right.
stuff that impacts us and our generations and our generations and our generations. And if you can understand generational curses and generational poverty, then you can understand generational wealth. And the more knowledge that we give to our children and to our children's children, the more we build on that generational wealth. And that's why they want to oppress us and they want to keep us small minded and ignorant. They want to hide books like Foucault from us, thinking that we're not educated enough to read something beyond, some of this other trash that they put out and call it black literature. So that's my sidebar. I'm about to put the outro on. You got any final words for us, Shaka?
No, it's been a good show as always. And peace and blessings to everybody, all of our ancestors, the passing of both of my aunts. I'm going to stand up as always and represent you all and use your energy to continue to fight.
And happy belated birthday, General Shaka Sankofa. We didn't get
Yes.
to honor you and celebrate you last week, but happy belated. Anything else, Shaka Sankofa?
No, that'll be all until
Okay.
until next time, peace and
Yeah.
blessings.
Peace and blessings, and my condolences to your family. Both of those sisters lived miraculous, wonderful lives.
Yep.
And I'm sure that the AKAs and everyone else that loved them will continue to support the lineage and the legacy of those women. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
I like that.